Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Throwing Partners podcast. It's Kirby and Joseph here, coming to you on a beautiful Sunday morning. But Joe and I are both playing tonight, so we're going to record this morning ahead of Sunday's games. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Throwing Partners podcast. And please remember to follow us on our socials at KirbyD4 and at JAguilar7891. That little squeaking you hear is my dog over here next to me, so just ignore that if you can.
Just
Joe,
having a great time.
we've got a lot to talk about. We're obviously going to do our usual Braves and Astros updates, and we are also going to talk about the standings as they stand currently and how dead wrong we were about some of them. So go ahead and give us an Astros update. I'm going to see if I can get my dog to quit squeaking this toy.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, the Astros had a huge series against the Mariners this week, starting on Monday. It was a 4-game series. The Astros started that series 3.5 games back of the Mariners, and had the potential, if they went in and swept, to take the division lead. Unfortunately, that did not happen, as the Astros would go on to lose 3 of the 4 games, only salvaging the getaway day game. And to start off that series, Seattle won the first game 3-2. Bryce Miller was on the mound for the Mariners, and he absolutely dominated the Astros. And Framber Valdez was on the mound for Houston. And outside of the first inning, he pitched pretty well. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 runs, 4 Ks, and 3 balls. Bryce Miller went 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 6 Ks, and 2 walks. That first inning was kind of it kind of summed up the entire Astros season, if I'm being honest, because the Astros have struggled in the first inning and in the later innings of baseball games, but in the middle innings, something clicks for them. They play really well, 2 through 7. But outside of those, a couple innings, 1, 8, and 9 always seem to be a struggle for them. Whether it's they have the lead late, and they're trying to hold on, or they're trying to make a rally, they have traffic, and they can't get the big hit late. So they would go on to lose 3-2. And one of the first hits of the game after Jose Abreu's return was a double down the right field line. And I'm honestly kind of surprised that they scored that a double. I thought that was, I thought that an above average defensive first baseman could make that play. And it bounced off his glove down the line for a double.
Yeah.
So, and it was very frustrating to watch. That was literally the first play of the game. And that was the first play with Jose Abreu back. And so, it was just disappointing to see. That led to a 3-run inning, which ultimately, was the difference in the game. So the Astros would lose the first one. You chalk that up to, you just got dominated by Mariners pitching and, that one inning. And so, you don't really think about that too much. You think, shake it off for the next one. But unfortunately, the Astros would lose the next game 4-2 in another very close game. All of these games were very close. This series reminded me a lot about the opening week series with the Astros and Yankees, where both teams were in the game basically the entirety of the game, and once again the Astros just struggle to either start games in the first inning or close them out in 8 or 9. So that's kind of what we see here again. The Astros give up a run in the first inning, like they have been, for a majority of the season. Hunter Brown, he pitched well. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, no walks, which was really good to see, and 9 strikeouts. So he's looked a lot better since adding a sinker to his repertoire. So it'll be interesting to see how they continue to utilize him if he continues to improve. Him and Spencer Arrighetti have pitched really well lately. I believe every starting pitcher during this series for the Astros had a quality start.
Yes, correct.
And it's kind of amazing that they only got away with one win. Pitching really well, matching the Seattle Mariners in their starting pitching. And that's probably one of the most frustrating parts of the series, and the season so far is the pitching did phenomenal. I could not have asked the starting pitching to do any better. They've been one of the weakest links um, for the team all season. And they went up there and they pitched their asses off. And then, the offense doesn't show up. And then one night the bullpen blows it. It's like you have good pitching one night and the hitting isn't there, or you have good hitting one night and good starting pitching and the bullpen struggles. Um, it's kind of been a rotating door of who's going to let you down today for the Astros so far this season. And I could talk about this all day, but I've talked about it so much already. But Hunter Brown, he pitched well. He matched up Luis Castillo. Castillo's line was 6 innings pitched, 5 runs. 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 6 Ks. Then Brian Abreu came in after Hunter Brown. He had 2 strikeouts. He's looked a little bit better as of late. But then Ryan Presley came in into the 8th. Or the 9th. No, I believe it was the 8th. 9th. 8th. Yeah. And he gave up 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, and he had 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. And he gave up the lead. The Astros lost that game basically in the 8th inning because Ryan Stanek came in the top of the 9th and shut the door on them. So that was really frustrating. Like I said, it's either one problem one night, or another the next. It's never, the team hasn't been clicking all on the same, they haven't been all on the same page at once this season. And that's why they have a record now of 24-32. So the next game, the Astros would lose in extra innings, 2-1. And, like I said, the starting pitching did great. Justin Verlander, I believe, had 9 strikeouts in the game, and he faced George Kirby. They both looked really phenomenal. Honestly, if you love pitching matchups, this was definitely the series for you to watch. If you hate pitching matchups, you probably wanted to gouge your eyes out because it was pretty atrocious offense from both teams all series. So Hunter Brown went 7. Gave up 1 run, and that was a solo home run. It was classic Verlander solo home run. He had 1 walk and 9 Ks, like I said. Then Brian Abreu came in, struck out all 3 that he faced. Then Josh Hader came in, gave up a walk, and struck out 3. And then Taylor Scott came in and gave up the, ghost runner run for the Mariners to win. And the Astros continue to struggle in Manfred rule, Ghost Runner Ball. I don't know, what their philosophy is as an organization when they get into that 10th inning with that Ghost Runner on, but it's horrible. They need to change it. I've never seen a team so bad at just fundamentally being able to move a runner over with either a bunt, a ground ball to the right side, a base hit, and then getting a sac fly. I see it a lot because the Astros go into these extra inning games and that's how they get walked off on. But I don't understand, how they are so inept that they cannot do that. It blows my mind.
That has to
I've
be
never
something
thought
that they address in spring training next year because it's horrible.
They have horrible record in extra inning games since 2020. You've got to believe that someone has thought about bringing that up, in the last 4 years, because I don't know what it is. They just lack the ability to put the ball in play. They are really good at striking out or hitting pop up, shallow pop flies, either on the infield or in shallow right or left field. It amazes me. Because I see it when other teams do it. The inning starts after the Astros don't score or, whatever. And the other team, first pitch, ground ball to the right side, gets the runner over. Or first pitch, sack fly, not a sack fly, but like, a fly ball that gets the runner to third. And then all you have to do is put the ball in play at that point, as long as it's like not a sharp ground ball to the infield or, a shallow pop fly to right field, you're basically scoring that run. And the Astros just lack the ability to do that. It is so frustrating to watch. They lose the game 2-1 because they do not play good baseball in extra innings. But luckily they win the next game 4-2. I mean 4-0. Sorry. They avoid the sweep. Spencer Arrighetti, like I mentioned, pitched really well. And the offense, this was probably the only game where there was, a decent offense from the Astros. And, Kyle Tucker, he's been playing out of his mind. He did he had a home run, I think. No, he didn't. No, that was Bregman. Tucker was on base. And then Caratini homered as well. And the Astros won 4-0. The offense was pretty bad on this road trip overall. Altuve, Pena, Bregman played really bad. Myers cooled off a little bit. Yeah, the offense was not good on the road trip. Outside of, I think, one game in Oakland, they played really well. And so, yeah. And the offense was even worse on a Friday night where they started a series with the Twins, who I believe currently are in the playoff chase. They are just behind the Cleveland Guardians. Now they're 7 games back of the Guardians, but they're in the postseason as of right now. They lost 6-0 in the first game. Ronel Blanco gave up 4 runs, I believe. And the offense just couldn't do anything. Pablo Lopez dominated them, and yeah, that was really the game. Can't really say much. It was just a bad game. Blanco didn't. This is Blanco's worst start of the season by far. It was his first loss. So we'll keep an eye on that, I guess. Hopefully he can bounce back in the next start. Because he had been the stopper for us a lot. We'd go on these 2 or 3 game losing streaks, and he would be the guy that gets us out. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to start a winning streak for us, so we lost that game 6-1. And then yesterday, Yordan Alvarez, he returned. He came back. He's back. I don't know. Hopefully for good. He had been playing well offensively. Yeah, he hit 2 piss missiles. He had been playing well, or he had been hitting good. Like line drives. He had been, timing the ball up better. He had actually been going the other way a lot as well, which was kind of good to see. That when Yordan goes the other way, that tells me that he's really feeling it, because he's able to use all fields. He's not just trying to pull the shit out of the ball. But he hit 2 rockets yesterday, and hopefully he gets his power stroke back, along with just being able to spray the ball everywhere. Fromber pitched really well. He gave us 7 strong innings, and he had a no-hitter into the 6th inning, I believe, and gave it up on a ground ball up the middle. It would have been really exciting to see that. Maybe that could have, sparked something, but it is what it is. They were just, happy to get away with the win overall, 5-2. All right, Kirby, take it away. What's your Braves update?
Well, Joe, this week it sucked. For what it's worth. Layla, quick. Hey, stop. Give me that. Okay, quit playing with it. My freaking dog over here is just driving me nuts. This acorn toy she's got. Okay. So earlier this week they played a series against the Nationals. And the Nationals have really played well against the Braves. Monday, they played the Braves, and the Braves lost 8-4. Charlie Morton started that game, and he did not look great. He gave up a lot of hard contact, gave up 12 hits. And here's what's irritating to me: he threw 5 2/3 innings. He had 2 walks, he had 7 Ks, but he gave up 8 runs. I don't know why Weisbecker thought it was a good idea to leave him in that long. I guess because we're on this long stretch with no good days off. But it was really irritating to see that like every inning he's coming out, he's giving out more runs and more runs and more runs. Instead of just pulling him. The offense they scored 4 runs, but at some point you just kind of figured that maybe that just wasn't your day, and then we're just gonna take the L. And sure enough, they took the L 8-4. And then Tuesday, the Braves actually won 2-0. Max Fried had a dazzling start through 8 innings. Only had 1 walk, which should have been strike 3. And had 6 Ks. And Marcell Ozuna actually hit his 16th homer of the year. And the Braves actually turned 4 double plays that day. I'm going to talk a little bit more about their defense in just a minute, but let me get through the update real quick. And then Wednesday, the Braves lost 7-2. Now, this was a really interesting game because Spencer Schwellenbach actually made his major league debut. The Braves really like Schwellenbach because he's got really good command, and he can pump it up to like 97, 98 on the fastball. He threw 5 innings, and he really only made 1 bad pitch, which he gave up a 3-run homer on. Other than that, he only had 1 walk and 5 Ks. If there's one thing that Brian Snitker likes, it's command and not walking guys. So I guarantee you he gets another start or 2 at least just because of that command and how he looked. He looked really sharp overall. So I was very pleased to see that. Speaking of guys that are getting promoted or moved up, also this week, Hurston Waldrop got moved to AAA. I think that we see him sooner than later. I think sometime this month even he actually gets the call up. With that being said, David Fletcher, for those of you who may remember David Fletcher from his Angels days, well, he has actually been pitching in the minors and has apparently an outstanding knuckleball. Well, the Braves sent him from AAA to AA, I guess to possibly see how he does with this knuckleball. And to be honest, the knuck looks really sharp. I don't know if he's going to be the next Ohtani or not, but man, he looks awesome with that knuck out there. Okay, continuing on the update. Thursday, the Braves lost 3-1. The offense did absolutely nothing. Ray Kerr got another start. He threw 3 2/3 innings. He gave up 3 earned runs, but he had 7 Ks during that, and he had 15 whiffs. The stuff is there. He's got really good stuff. I still think that ultimately he's a bullpen guy, but just the swing and miss is there. He's got really good stuff. He's got wild letters, and it's actually fun to watch this guy pitch. But he's a little effectively wild as well. Friday night, the A's come into town, and the Braves won 4-2. Reynaldo Lopez, man, this guy continues to just be outstanding. I mean, he threw 6 innings, he had 2 walks and 8 Ks. And probably, in my opinion, the best thing that happened that game was Jared Kelenic had a 2-run double off of a left-handed pitcher. If you know anything about Jared Kelenic, is this dude cannot hit anything from the left side. So I was really pleased to see him hit that big double. I hope that raises his confidence against left-handed pitching because I really want to see him play every day, especially with Adam Duvall only hitting well against left-handed pitching. I want to see him hit well against everything. And then yesterday was a little bit of a whirlwind. Chris Sale is probably going to win Pitcher of the Month for May, but as it sits right now, not for June. Yesterday he did not have a good start. He threw 4 innings and gave up 8 runs, and that actually included 2 home runs. It was a wild game. They were down 8-3. They ended up tying it and made it 8-8. And then the bullpen ended up giving up 3 runs, and the Braves lost 11-9. This was actually the 7th time that the Braves have put up 9 runs this year. I know that they lost yesterday, but dude, let me just tell you, it was so great to see the offense actually come alive. The Braves actually had 6 extra base hits yesterday, including I think 2 homers, which was great. That was just incredible to see. Now, earlier I said that I was going to talk a little bit about the Braves defense. So overall, the Braves defense this year has actually looked really sharp. Jared Kelenic is playing Gold Glove caliber, and he's playing with a Gold Glove caliber glove in left field. Michael Harris is a stud out in center field. Austin Riley looks fine at third. Orlando Arcia has actually played extremely well at shortstop as far as his defense goes. But Ozzy Albies, Ozzy's value to me is up in the air right now. Now, I will be the first person to say I love Ozzy. He is my favorite Braves player right now, and maybe of all time. I love this dude's attitude. I love his outlook on everything. But his value right now is up in the air, and here's why. His defense is not good. His range and his arm are both in the 4 percentile on according to Baseball Savant. For those of you who don't know, that's horrible. That is the bottom of the barrel. And it's also concerning too right now because he has a serious lack of power. He's only had 1 home run since March. The season started at the end of March. So that to me is very concerning. And then in the last 30 days, his OPS is under 600. So I'm really concerned about Ozzy. Nothing on his Baseball Savant page actually looks good, besides his K percentage. So for me, that's really concerning for his value. But like I said, I don't know what the move is with Ozzy because he cannot play another position. He's not tall. He doesn't have a great arm. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Now, granted, he's on the most team-friendly contract in the entire country. But right now, his game is really concerning. He's still hitting his career average basically in doubles, so he'll probably have 30 to 40, which is great. But we really need to see that power come back, and God, it would be great to see that arm come back and that range come back. I don't know if it ever will, but it really needs to for his value. His arm has actually cost him several double plays this year, because it's not good. It is not great at all. And then Orlando Arcia. I got drugged on Twitter the other day for saying that the Braves could upgrade at shortstop. Let me just say this. First of all, his defense is great. We all know that. His defense has always been great. However, his offense sucks. He is a below average offensive player. He is a great utility player. He can play third, he can play short, he can play second. And he can play those all exceptionally well, if not above average. But his bat is not there. In his last 30 days, he has an OPS of 560. For those of you who don't know anything about OPS, that's horrible. That is god awful. Now, granted, if the offense comes around and they start hitting like we all know that they can, where they hit 307 home runs last year, then his bat won't matter. But if the offense never comes around, I don't care how well he plays defense. We've got to have somebody in that spot that can actually swing the stick. I suggested a couple of trades the other day. I said that Lindor and Bichette would look good in a Braves uniform. Obviously, I don't think that the Lindor thing ever happens because that's an in-division rival. But you never know, because last year we saw that they weren't afraid to move 2 Hall of Famers, and actually paid for one of them to leave in Justin Verlander. Lindor's owed a lot of money, but I'm going to tell you right now, that dude would look awesome in a Braves uniform. Bo Bichette, if the Blue Jays are actually really wanting to sell or move pieces, maybe they could go and acquire him. His defense is not great. However, his bat can come alive, and he can be an outstanding bat hit at the top of the order. So I don't know where the Braves go as far as making moves at the deadline. However, I listened to an interview yesterday with Alex Anthopoulos on 680 The Fan. And Alex Anthopoulos and his son, apparently they talk ball a lot, and his son listens in on pretty much all of the phone calls that he has. His son is 11, and apparently the Braves are going after somebody right now, and his son was really excited about it because it's a really good player. I don't know what that means for the Braves. I don't know if that is an outfielder. I don't know if that's an infielder. I don't know if they're trying to bolster their starting rotation right now. I would like to say that it's an impact bat in the outfield. I think that's the most logical. But who actually gets, what 11-year-old gets excited about like a Tommy Pham or a Taylor Ward? Okay, I don't know that many 11-year-olds even know who they are. Could it be Brent Rooker? Maybe. I don't know. I don't really think that's logical, nor do I think that's a good fit for the Braves because he can't really play defense that well. Could it be somebody else? Could they be going to upgrade at shortstop? Could they be going to bolster that starting rotation? I'm not really sure. But maybe this deal happens soon. Maybe it's at the trade deadline. I'm not really sure. I would love for it to be a big bat in the outfield. Joe would probably punch me through the screen if it ended up being like Kyle Tucker. But I don't think that happens. I just don't think that happens. I don't think the Astros sell him at all. I think they maybe retool next year. But man, if it was
I
Tucker,
think
I
we're
would
getting
lose
there.
it. I would absolutely lose it. So it's going to be really interesting to see where the Braves want to pivot to maybe help their offense a little bit. But other than that, I was really pleased to see the offense do well yesterday. Joe, we wanted to talk about where our predictions lie right now. Basically at the Memorial Day mark, and just after. We're officially 2 full months into the season. Each team has played about 60 games, maybe a little less. And right now, our predictions sucked. What who would have thought the AL Central would have been dead? They've been a great
Yeah.
division thus far, minus the White Sox, which they're basically a AAA team anyway. So just looking at it right now, you've got the Yankees and the Orioles that are playing really good ball. And the rest of the division is not great. The AL Central with Cleveland and Kansas City and even Minnesota, they're all playing pretty good ball. The AL West, we thought would be a 3-team race, and it still actually kind of is because the Astros are still only 6.5 games out.
Yeah.
Even though they're 7 games below 500, which is just honestly it's just mind blowing to me. Because right now the Braves are 8 games above 500, and they're 7.5 games out of their division. The National League West, that division overall, it still sucks. The Dodgers are not really playing that well as of late. And the Padres are only 5.5 out, even though I still don't think that the Padres have a snowball's chance in hell at winning that division. I think that the Dodgers probably ended up winning that division by 10 games. The NL Central, not a great division. We told y'all it wasn't going to be a good division. And there's only one team above 500, and that's the Brewers. The Brewers are a pretty solid team. And they are leading that division by 6.5 games. The NL
If
East.
it's any consolation,
Go ahead.
the last place team, the Cincinnati Reds, are only 3.5 games back of a wild card spot. I would just like to put that out there.
And they have basically the same record as the Astros.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nuts. That is nuts.
I mean, you could say that the NL Central is bad, but quite honestly, I think the Cardinals are the only team. The Cardinals and the Pirates are the only team that are overperforming. The Reds, I feel like, have when you look at their run differential, the Cardinals are -42 and the Pirates are -24. And right now they have a better record than the Reds, who have a -10 run differential. And I know that, run differential is not everything, but I think it's a good indicator of how well a team plays overall. And, I feel like the Cardinals and the Pirates are overperforming, and the Reds could, if they make a move or two, or if they get better, bullpen pitching, because I think that's their biggest problem, could, sneak up into third and grab a wild card spot. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm not giving up on the Reds. I still believe in them.
I mean, God, they could go on a hot streak and really own some people, especially with that small ballpark.
Yeah.
Joe, can we talk about how good the Yankees are right now? Because they are without
Yeah. So
the AL Cy Young winner from last year, and their pitching
yeah.
staff has been great, and their offense has also been great. And Aaron Judge
Yeah.
has
So
on this pace that is just astronomical. Go ahead.
yeah. So coming into the season, a lot of people weren't high on the Yankees, and I don't know why. They had grabbed Juan Soto and signed out, or yeah, and Alex Verdugo, who I thought were both game changers. And so, like coming into the season, a lot of people were saying that Baltimore was far and away, the better team, um, and that the Yankees were probably going to finish behind the Rays, like they did last year. But I didn't see that. I saw a team that got really healthy. You know, Anthony Rizzo was playing through a concussion last year. Giancarlo Stanton was not himself. They didn't have Aaron Judge for a large portion of the year, which that obviously, as you can see now, makes a difference. Um, and they added Juan Soto, who was like a perennial MVP candidate every year. I didn't see how people didn't think that this team wasn't going to be good. I know that they lost Garrett Cole, but they also added Marcus Stroman and Carlos Rodon, was, getting healthy again, and Nestor Cortez was also getting healthy again. Though, like, you add Marcus Stroman, who pitched very well for the Cubs last year, and you get again Carlos Rodon, who was a Cy Young runner up before he went to the Yankees. Um, and then Nestor Cortez, who has been good throughout his career so far. You get all of those guys healthy, and you add Stroman. I didn't see where the disconnect was between people and thinking the Yankees were going to go out there and dominate, which is honestly really interesting because usually the Yankees are um, the darlings of the league. Like everybody's predicting them to win 10,000 games in a season, and go on to win the World Series every year. But this year it was like no one was high on them, and I just didn't see it. Unfortunately, that was probably the only good take that I had over the off season because I also thought that the Astros were going to be contending as well, and that has not worked out very well for me.
Well, I will just say this too. I cannot believe how many just mediocre teams there are this year. There's like three extremely good teams right now, and the Orioles, and the Yankees, and the Phillies. But the rest of the league is really not anything that's just outstanding. Offense is way down throughout the whole league, which is worrisome. Which still makes me think that there's dead baseballs out there. Because yesterday Matt Olson hit a ball that was a home run in 29 out of 30 ballparks, and it wasn't even at the warning track when it got caught. I have no explanation for that, but I don't know how it's a home run in 29 out of 30 parks, and somehow it gets caught not even at the warning track. That just absolutely baffled me. And he's had, honestly, Joe, he's probably had like 4 or 5 like that. This guy should have 15 home runs. Because
Yeah.
he's crushing the ball. He hits the ball extremely hard when he hits it. So I don't get that at all. I don't understand it. Um, Going back to the Yankees real quick, dude, Aaron Judge has been on this absolutely
Yeah, heater. He's
right
been on a
now.
heater.
Dude, he's in the last 30 days. He's hit 15 home runs and has an OPS of 1508. That is unreal. He went from people saying that he should be demoted to AAA, which is just asinine.
That
Uh,
was laughable.
yeah, to now probably within the top two, maybe honestly, probably even leading the AL MVP race. And then there's been a couple other guys that have been on a heater too in the last 30 days. Corey Seager has hit 11 home runs in the last 30 days. Jose Ramirez is also on a heater. He's hit 11 home runs in the last 30 days. And Kyle Tucker has hit 11 home runs in the last 30 days. And then you've got Luis Arias. Since coming to San Diego, this dude has played in 25
Hit
games
machine.
and he has 42 hits.
He's crazy.
He is unreal. He's hitting 393 with San Diego. I mean, this guy's probably going to win his third straight batting title.
Mhm.
He's just, dude, he is so fun to watch. I love watching all of his off-season videos too. I mean,
Yeah,
he's just a, he's a, he's an,
he's a hit
he's
machine. He's a
it's
freak.
so different, you know.
Yeah.
If this guy plays
He,
25, 30 years ago, I guarantee you he hits 400. I'm not even kidding.
oh, I was just about to make a joke saying that he's playing in the wrong era, because if he won 3 straight batting titles in the 60s or the 70s, he'd be an automatic Hall of Famer.
That was another thing that was so asinine that was it MLB Network that said that, or some
I believe that. Yeah, it was. It was.
that just, oh my gosh, I'm so tired of them doing
he's
stuff for clicks.
he's playing in the wrong era.
Yes, yes, he is. But he's fun to watch though because he's totally different than the rest of the league. The rest of the league is all about power, lots of
Yeah,
strikeouts, high slugging percentage, and Luis Arias is about none of that.
yeah,
So shout out to him. I love watching that guy play. He's fun to watch. Um,
yeah.
what else is on the dock for today, Joe?
Well, I did forget to mention that the Astros, there are some injury news. There is some injury news with the Astros, or lack thereof. On Monday, I believe it was Dana Brown that said that Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy should be getting imaging done, and that they should have an announcement about their status in 48 hours. That was on Monday. We're now on Sunday, and we still have no update. I believe on Wednesday, Joe Espada came out and said that they would have a second opinion, which that scares me. That first of all, there is no news, and they're looking at second opinions. I mean, it could be that, maybe the damage isn't as bad as they were originally expecting, or they just want more clarity on what's going on in both of their forearms. But I'd always think a second opinion, tends to be bad. Um, and just the lack of news is kind of frustrating as well. Considering that they gave this timeline and they have now, waited basically an entire week to give an update. And I'm sure that we'll probably have an update tomorrow when Dana Brown makes his weekly appearance on the Astros Sports Talk 790 weekly interview. But it's kind of frustrating to not have any news yet. But
And it's
I
really,
guess that was it.
you know, Joe, the Astros too. Right now, their next 4 series are against teams. I'm sorry, their next 5 series are against teams that either really suck or are not very good. Between the Cardinals, the Angels, the Giants, the Tigers, and the White Sox. And man, they in those next 10 to 15 games, whatever that is, 3, 6, 9, 12. In those next 15 games, they have to win 10 to 12 of those. There's no exceptions. If they want to keep some
Yeah.
playoff hopes alive, they've got to win at least 2/3 of those, if not more.
Yeah.
Because those teams suck, especially the White Sox. They got to sweep that series.
Yeah. I mean, I've basically come to the realization that I don't think that this team is a real contender. And I think that their record for, playing against teams above 500 is kind of an indication of where this team is at currently. They're 8-20. And it's they're right up there with the Oaklands of the world, the Angels of the world, like the Miami Marlins, the White Sox, with having a record that bad against teams with a record above 500. And I believe that their record in one-run games is also indicative of or just a really bad team. Yep, they're 5-12 in one-run games.
Hey.
Which that tells me they've played in 17 one-run games, which is kind of insane to think about. And that's 17 games that you can really kind of flip a coin, and their season turns around. If they 12-5, if they just get that one big hit, then they're leading the AL West right now.
Yeah.
But they just haven't been able to. This team lacks, enthusiasm. They lack energy. They don't come up with the big hits. It kind of just looks like they're going through the motions, like they're bored and they're just tired. And that can, over a 7-year run like they've been having, that can happen. But it's just frustrating because I know that this team is a lot more talented than a 26-33 record. Um, they have the talent to go out there and win the World Series. I know that injuries have been a big problem with the rotation, but the offense should not be as bad as it has been, and they should not struggle in the big spots like they have been. They've been to 2017, 2019, 2021, 2020. They've been to 4 World Series in the last 8 years. Like, they've been in the biggest moments more times than not. Like, they shouldn't be struggling in regular season games. They should be able to come through. Like, there's no pressure on them. Like, or at least in the beginning of the season there wasn't. Now there is because they've been underperforming for so long, but they've been there, done that. They just haven't been playing like it. So it's just very frustrating to see. I can go rant about this all day, but I'm gonna stop here.
Okay, here's what we're gonna close with today, Joe. If you can make one move for the Astros, it can be logical or it can be completely unrealistic. If you get to make one move for the Astros right now, actually, you know what? We'll do two. You get to make one logical one that could actually happen, and then you get to make one unrealistic one that could happen that it will never happen. But you get to make two moves, one real, one not real, and just to help the team. What are you doing?
Oh, well, I know what my one unreal one is, and that's going out and getting Juan Soto.
My God, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that speaks for itself. I love Juan Soto. I mean, I hate him, but I love him. He's
I
just a
love
freak
that.
as well. Like, I love his approach at the plate. I love that he just slaps the ball around and he hits for crazy power. He plays, not so great defense, but I don't really care. And my one logical move, I don't even know. I don't know what the Astros could trade at this point, to realistically get anybody. I feel like in any moves that they make are going to be low key guys that, are kind of fly under the radar. And right now, I just haven't been, paying attention to any of that just because realistically, they're in a spot that they're going to have to sell. They're not going to be the ones buying. So, I've kind of been thinking, who can they sell to
Yeah.
get, to get people back. So I couldn't even answer that question, honestly.
Well,
It'd probably be a starting pitcher, just, to give us more consistency.
I think my unrealistic one for the Braves, it might be Soto. But to be honest, Joe, my unrealistic one might actually be Corey Seager. Um, I absolutely love watching that dude play. He would give them a stable shortstop for the next 5 or 6 years. And he's also somebody that when his time at shortstop is up, he could go to DH. By the time like Jose Perdomo is ready. That would be probably my unrealistic move. I would love for the Rangers to want to sell and to get rid of that guy because I would love to have him. My realistic move for them, though, that I would really like to see them do, because I would still like for them to have some rotation help, and a bat. We just discussed this team, and it's the Cardinals. I would love for them to go out and poach Sonny Gray and Lars Newbar from the Cardinals. Newbar has good tools. He plays the outfield. He could play every day, maybe over Adam Duvall. And the Braves would also get some rotation help in Sonny Gray. We've seen some struggles from Charlie Morton. We've seen some struggles from the first spot. So that would be a great replacement for Charlie Morton next year. And they would have him for this year. So I don't know if that deal could ever happen because the Braves would have to give up a lot for both of them. But I think that would be a deal I would be willing to make, even if that meant that they had to part ways with like AJ Smith-Shawver, and maybe a couple of smaller guys, not smaller guys, but guys of lesser, pedigree. But I think that's a move that I would be more than willing to make. Because Sonny Gray has been Mr. Consistent over the past few years. And he's He's somebody you can run out in a playoff start. So, all right, Joe. Well, is that all that we need to talk about today? Is there anything else we need to talk about?
No, I think that about wraps it up.
I think so. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this Sunday morning. I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday. And once again, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Throwing Partners Podcast. And also remember to follow us on our socials at KirbyD4 and at JAguilar7891.